Just listen to that. That is bad. Well, let's fix it. Welcome back to M Hood Fishing. Today we're going to take a tip from my father, and we're going to grease our reels with Vaseline. Alright, I got a story to tell you too. Wait a minute, that's not Vaseline. Yeah, it is. It's petroleum jelly. It is the cheap knockoff stuff, but it is exactly the same. Let me tell you a story while I start to take this reel apart. Long time ago, I opened a really old tackle box. It smelled really bad. I mean, it just stunk to high heaven. And it had some interesting things in there, though most of them were pretty well rusted. The one thing that I saw that took me by surprise was a little jar of Vaseline. When I saw that, I was like, what could have him been using that for? What was he using that for? You know, I assumed he was greasing things, but as minds wander, you go below the line, right? You start to wonder, what? But of course, as my father tells me, this is a old timer's trick. My dad tells me that people a long time ago just used Vaseline instead of something fancy to grease their reels. Now, I don't like to buy stuff that is made for greasing reels because it's a little tube and it costs a lot of money. I can go get lithium grease for a little less in a big can. You get a big can of lithium grease and it'll last me a long time. So will a jar of Vaseline. So we're going to give this a go and then go work with this reel. Got the bail off, and I have a piece of paper towel here that I'm going to put parts on. All right, now I got to get the lock screw out and undo this bolt. This nut right here. Got my lock screw out. It's very handy if you use a magnetic screwdriver. That way you won't lose it. Or I'm going to put that to the side on my paper towel. Now I'm going to get my pliers and loosen the nut. I'm going to use these. You can use little tiny crescent wrenches if you like, but if you're gentle with these pliers, they work fine. Take that off. And that just slips right off. All right. Now the reason why I did that is because I can't remember. All these reels are different, and this one is no stranger to being different from any other reel. I can't always remember what I'm supposed to do to take it apart, so I just take certain things I know I have to, and then I figure it out as I go. One side is going to come off and expose the cogs, so you definitely have to remove your handle. It's usually going to be on one side. This panel right here is going to come off. Go ahead and pull the handle out, put it there on the paper towel so I don't get my table all dirty. Now I want to take this butt off and then proceed. I know the lighting is bad, but taking the butt off exposes this Phillips screw right here that it would normally be hidden, and that is one of the screws that is keeping this panel locked to the reel. All right, now I'm just removing it with my screwdriver. I realized that I was calling my spool my bail. The reason why I took my bail off has just come to me. At the bottom, underneath the bail, half this panel goes up underneath your spool, not your bail. Got bail on the brain. All right, these screws fluctuate from Phillips to flathead to Phillips flathead. So now we're going to take my flathead and undo these two exposed panel screws. Here pretty soon I'll be at my cogs. All right. Thanks, Dad. Father's lumen. So there we go. Got my panel exposed. Look at that. It's looking kind of bad in there. I need to clean that up. So I do have some extra paper towels to the side. And to do this, to apply the Vaseline and clean, I recommend that you have some Q-tips. They come in real handy for this kind of thing. All right, now we're going to remove the wheel. And you see the shaft here. See how it has some of that green stuff on there? That is old lube, not quite enough in there. Now we're going to take a clean Q-tip and dab at that. I'm not removing everything out of this reel to clean it today because I want to go fishing soon. Here's a tip for cleaning this. See the shaft? I'm going to rotate it up here with my thumb and forefinger and work it with this Q-tip. Get that grime off. There's probably sand and everything in here from fishing in Louisiana and Mississippi. Sandy places. When I'm just cleaning a reel like this, I tend to just use a dry rag, or paper towel. I don't like to use anything like alcohol or even soap. Just put some elbow grease in there and get that reel nice and clean. All right, we got our Vaseline open. We got a Q-tip here. My father tells me that these old timers used to just pack that Vaseline in there. So first we're going to go with that wheel that's at the bottom of the shaft. Get a good amount in there. And now we're going to apply some Vaseline to the shaft itself. Get it in those grooves. You don't need globs on the shaft, you just need those grooves. And just like how I cleaned it, whoop, I'm not showing you. Look at this, I'm going to rotate this and apply as I rotate to that shaft. Just get it nice and lubed up. Here, I need to pay attention. See that? It's getting a good amount in those grooves there. Ooh, I'd say that's good enough right there for that. Now I want to rotate this up and just apply a little bit to the bottom of the shaft here, not a lot, just a little bit. I might come back and wipe that in with a paper towel. Now we want to put our wheel back on. But first we're going to apply some Vaseline to it. We're going to take a new Q-tip because we don't want to get a bunch of black stuff in our jar of Vaseline. Now we're going to apply to the little one and then a bit to the big one. Make sure you get it in the grooves. Like so. Put a little bit on the edge too. Time to start putting this back together. I can't stress enough that when you're taking apart a reel, you need to keep organized with your parts and try to remember where the screws came from. A lot of reels will have different screws for different parts, and that can help you remember where they go. Here we go, it's all back together. Now let's see if this works. Well, it feels smoother, but I can still hear it. Can you hear that? It is reeling smoother, but it's still noisy. So there's two things that could be going on in here. I don't have enough Vaseline in there, or I need to do this for a while to get that Vaseline worked around in there. So hold on. We're right back at you. So we just reset up, made a mess, cleaned our mess, What I did was I absolutely packed this to the gills to where it was just squeezing out. Let's see what it sounds like now. Turn it upside down so you can hear it. About the same. Though it is getting better the more I do this. Well, okay. Alright, so the question is, would I use Vaseline again to grease my reels? Probably not. Only if it was the only thing within 1,000 miles. Probably. But there could just be something wrong with that Quantum. It is a cheap reel. I tend to think that maybe lithium grease would work better. That's what I usually like to use, opposed to buying really expensive reel grease. You know, in the tackle aisle, I'll just go over to the hardware aisle in the Big W store and get a can of lithium grease that will work on all my stuff that needs to be greased. So maybe I did something wrong. Maybe they just used it back in the day in a pinch because they had nothing else. Could be, who knows? But there could be something wrong with that reel. Alright, so comment down below, tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you got a farm pond you'd like me to come fish with you, just drop us an email. My email is down at the very bottom of the description. And as always, I love you. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you next time.